Hello guys, you all are welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you are seeing this channel, you are welcome. Take a seat by clicking on the subscribe button and make sure you are turning your bell icon on so that each time I post a video you will be notified immediately. And to my old subscribers, thank you for coming back as usual. So this is the dress we'll be making today. This is a ball gown with a half jacket. The jacket is not separate from the gown, it is sewn together with it. So if this is something you're interested in learning, kindly keep watching and make sure you are liking as you are watching, and endeavor to comment, leave a like for me, a share, and also remember to check other of my videos. You might find something you like there. I have a lot of videos on ball gown. Just keep watching and let's get started. So for this dress, I'll be making use of 2 yards of cotton lining, 2 yards of satin fabric, and 1 yard of brocade material. This is for a 6-year-old. So we will be starting by drafting the basic bodice. So I'll be drafting the front and the back together. And my starting line is being drawn, my chest line, my waistline, and my hip line. And I have a 1-inch zipper allowance for the back part. So my shoulder is 10.5, half of it is 5.75. I'll just mark it and add half an inch for my joining allowance to the sleeve. I'll mark exactly the same measurement on my chest line and connect it into a straight line. This will be the armhole depth. Then the neck width is 2.25 by 2.5 for the front and 1 inch for the back. So I'll just take my ruler and connect it into a curve. This is a basic bodice. We've done this a lot on the channel, so you can check other videos of mine if this is wasting your time. So on the armhole depth, I'll come down by half an inch for the shoulder slants, and I'll connect it to the neck width, and I'll also divide my armhole depth by 2. So on that point, I'll go inwards by half an inch for the front armhole. The front armhole is meant to be deeper. Then on my chest line, I will take quarter of it. My chest line is 25 inches, quarter of it, I will mark it and add my seaming allowance. I'll connect that to the front armhole and to the back armhole. As you can see, the back armhole is not deep as the front one. So I'll go ahead and add half an inch on my shoulder for my joining allowance. And on my waistline, I will add quarter of it. My waistline is waist circumference is 24 inches and my hip circumference is 26 inches. So I'll just divide each of them by 4 and add my sewing allowance. So you can decide not to sharpen that waistline and just connect from your chest line straight to the hip line. I promise you it will be very fine. Next is for me to cut out through my back lines from my back neckline first. Then for the hip line, you notice I did not add any joining allowance because we are going to join that on the fabric. But on the side, I've added my joining allowance. So this is what I have for the basic bodies. And when I take off my pin, I'm going to mark the waistline on the back. I'm just going to indicate it on the back. So I'll be using this pattern to cut my upper part and my jacket part. So I'll just mark the waistline on the back part so that I'll know what I am doing, and I'll trim off my front armhole and my front neckline. So for the neckline, for the jacket, we'll be having a V neckline, but for the main bodies, we'll be having a round neckline. So since I will be using this to cut on my fabric for the upper part, the half length, I'll have to fold at the waist area. I'll just fold it at the waist area, and this is my front part. I will label that it will be cut on fold, and for the back, I'll just fold at the waist area as well. I'll just fold it properly so that I do not cut off any part while cutting on my fabric. I'll use it to cut my satin and my lining. And while cutting on my lining and on my satin, I will make sure to add half an inch at the waist part so that I'll be able to join to my skirt part. So all other allowances have been added, and I'll take this off, and my front part, both the lining and the satin, has been cut. I have 4 pieces for the back, 2 for lining and 2 for the main fabric. So I will open this up again and pin it together. I will now work on it so that I'll be able to cut our jacket. So I'll just pin it up and we'll get our neckline. So I want my neck depth to be at my chest area. You can go deeper or higher depending on how you want it. So I'll just connect it with a V. You can do sharp V or a curvy V. So I'm just trying to make sure that my neckline matches with the one I made earlier. But if yours does not match, just put in a paper under and tape it down. On the chest line as well, you can decide to come in by half an inch. If you don't want it to be at the chest line, come in on that chest line by half an inch. And since I don't need the zipper for the jacket, I'll just fold in my zipper allowance because we are cutting both the back and the front together. And on the hip line, you can just give it a curve or you leave it straight like that. If you want it this box shape, you leave it like this. But I'll be curving mine at the down part. So I'm just measuring about 3 inches, or just place your curved ruler if you have one at the waistline. I'll connect that 3 inches to the waistline. And this is how I want it. You can make it more curvy or you just go out a bit. So if you decide to make it about 2 inches, this is what I will have. So I'll just blend in and choose one of them. So I'll be going in with the 3 inches and I'll go ahead and cut from my neckline through to that hip line. I'll cut off my zipper allowance since I do not need it anymore. So when I'm done cutting, I will make sure to notch the waistline, but this will be on my fabric, and I will use it to cut my damask, that is my brocade material. So I'll add half an inch all around at that curvy area. I'll cut two for the front and 2 for the back. Right now I've cut it. I added my half an inch allowance all around, and I'll notch my waist area. This is to help me attach my belt. On this waist area is where I'll start attaching my belt from. So at this point, the front and the back look the same aside from the armhole area. So to notify the front area, I'm just going to give a notch at the armhole area so that when I'm picking each one, I will know the one that is for the front and for the back. But whichever one that is being notched at the armhole, I will know that it is for the front. So I'll just open it up and match front and back together, right side facing each other, and I'll sew. So this is, I'm using this damask fabric as my lining. If you are using a separate lining, please do, but I just want one lining and one fabric for the main fabric and for the lining. So I'll just match it right side facing each other, and I'll sew with 1 inch seam allowance that I left while sewing it. This is the side part. So after that, you can iron your seam open. So each of them has the front and the back panel on it. So one will be my lining and the other one will be the outer fabric. And for this upper part, this half length, I will pick up my satin front and back and join both of them at the shoulder points, right side facing each other, and I'll repeat the same thing on the lining material. So for the sleeve, I've already made a sleeve pattern here. The length is supposed to be 13 inches, but we're having a band of 2 inches. So I made the length here 11 inches. I have a detailed video of this on the channel, so I'm going to leave a link of the video on the description box. So because we are making it a puff sleeve, from the neck of the sleeve I just went up by 2 inches and reconnected. That 2 inches will be gathered to make a puff sleeve. So when you watch the video, I'll just leave videos of how to make sleeve and how to make puff sleeve. Check the comment section. You will see my pinned comment there. The pin link will be on the comment section. So I will just cut this out and use it to cut on my sleeve. So I'll cut this on the brocade material, and right now I've cut on it, and I'll make a notch at that 2 inches. So from the 2 inches, I'll start gathering to the other notched parts when I open it up. So I will notch my down part and my upper part as well. So like I said, this place will be gathered and it will give you their puffiness. If you want more puff, you can add 3 inches or more, but I think 2 inches is okay for a child of 6 years. So because we'll be adding a band, I'll just cut out a satin of the length is 4 inches and the width is the width of that sleeve, and I will use it to turn it. So after joining my upper bodies, this is what I have. I iron the seam line open both on the fabric and on the satin, on the cotton lining. So I'll just place it right side facing each other, and I will sew the neckline by 1/2 inch. And on this as well, I iron the seam line open, and I'll use my belt. I've made a belt. From that notched area, I will add my belt upwards. From the notch area, you go upwards, starting from the notch area. So after doing that, I'll bring the second part of it and I'll place on top of the first one, and I'll stitch all around with 1/2 inch, and I'll turn from the armhole. And when I was done, I notched my neckline and top stitch so that it will lie down very well. If you're not top stitching, you can use a hemming gun to iron it down. So but I top stitched, and when you iron down, it will lay flat. So the next is to close my side seam with 1 inch, exactly the 1 inch I used in closing the jacket part, and that was what I left while I was drafting. So I'll close the four sides with 1 inch, and on this you notch all around. Remember, it's a curvy part, so you make sure you notch all around so that when you iron it will relax. And from my armhole I will bring it out and I will go and iron. So when I iron, this is how it is coming out. Another thing you can do is that you can top stitch on one part of it, but before top stitching, make sure you've already decided which part you want the jacket to be. Is it on the right or on the wrong side, so that you know which side to top stitch on. So the next thing is to match the middle point together, and you sew with 1/2 inch, just what I just demonstrated. Open it up and match the middle side together. When you match it, you iron the seam line open, and when you fold it like this, you fold over, the armhole has been formed. And right now I've done all that. I've ironed my side seam open for my upper bodies, and for the armhole it has been formed. And for this jacket, you can see it's already coming out like a half jacket. And when I did this, I open up the seam. Make sure you are opening up your seam with an iron. It will make your work neater and easier. So when you open it up, you flip one on top of each other and it will lay flat. So the next thing is to join this jacket part to the upper part. I've decided that I want mine on the right side, so you decide on yours and you add it to the part. So on the seam line, shoulder line, on the shoulder seam line, match it, the lining and the satin together, and get as well the shoulder seam line on the jacket. These two shoulder seam lines will be matched together, and I'm going to stitch on it. I'll stitch in the ditch. So if I place it like so, you will see that the jacket will be overlapping, will be in excess more than that inner part. So this will make the jacket look as if the child is just wearing a jacket on it. So it's very much okay that the jacket part is more than that of the upper bodies inside. It is so because we did not add allowance to the neckline of that upper bodies, but we added allowance to this jacket part. So when I pin them down, you see my armhole matches up. If you did the right thing, your armhole will match up. And I'll go and sew the shoulder point together and the armhole together. I will stitch in the ditch. Make sure you are stitching in the ditch, and this is how it will come out. And at this point, you can now join to your skirt part. So I will go and do this and come back to show you what next. So for the skirt, I've already prepared my skirt part. This skirt part was a full flare. I multiplied the waist circumference by 2. The waist circumference was 24. I multiplied it by 2 and I used it to cut a full flare. Then for the net, I just had 10 yards of net. I just gathered, I cut it, I was able to get 3 layers, and I cut and gather. So I added everything together as one piece. When you place your front bodies to the skirt part, you join. And for my lining, I also cut full flay, but I did not multiply the waist circumference by 2. So right now I've added everything, the lining and the skirt part, and this is what I have already. If you flip over, your jacket can be, I didn't want to sew this jacket together with the upper bodies, so that I'll be able to add my skirt as one. Well, you can decide to join at the side part. So the next thing is for me to add my sleeves. I've already made these sleeves. Like I said, check my pinned comments, and also at the description, on the description box I'll leave the link of this video. So, and I'll go ahead and close the side up, the back, with a zipper, and I'll come back to show you the final result. And this is what we'll have after all that. As you can see, this is very beautiful. So my strap is running from my back to my front part, and I can tie my belt at the side part, and also I have my opening as the zipper. Look at how beautiful my puff sleeves are. So you can just try this out, and if you've actually watched up to this point, I really appreciate you. Thank you for sticking by. And also, this is how the inside will look like. This net added fullness to it. You can decide not to add fullness to yours if you want, but I just wanted to add fullness. I didn't want to use a hard net, so I opted for a soft net. So for the armhole inside, I'll just serge that armhole. That's the only rough edges we'll have over there. I'll just serge it, and our dress will be beautifully ready. So this is the outcome. Thank you once again for watching up to this point. I really appreciate you. Remember to check other of my videos, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.